Man, I've been on a recording streak as of late. I just finished two events in Path to Nowhere, and now I thought like I have not recorded for a long time Magium, so I'm gonna be recording Magium, and I will be uploading the events later. We'll put a bit of Magium in between, at least 20 chapters. Come on, 20 chapters, sorry, 20 episodes at least. 20 chapters would be like half a fucking year. I don't even think that it's that many chapters anyway. Maybe there are, who knows. Shouldn't we be contacting Darren and Hardrek? Layla writes as we reach the entrance of the tunnel that leads to the sleeping quarters. They might have been trying to reach us through our transceivers while we were away. Right, I say, and I should contact Rose too. Call Rose too. I told her that we'd contact her as soon as we get back to the rebel base. I pull out my transceiver and begin calling Darren. I give him a short explanation of why we've been missing for so long, without getting into the details of what we saw beneath the Ceridium Tower, and then reassure him that we're all safe. Apparently, he has been trying to contact us for more than an hour. Once he agrees to come meet us outside the quarantine zone, I call Hardrick and give him the same short summary of what we've been doing. He says that he'll be in the waiting room in about 10 minutes, and then he closes his transceiver. Just as I'm done talking with Hardrick, Darren comes out of the quarantine zone holding Araka's amulet close to his mouth like a transceiver while having a heated argument with her. Close behind them, you see the goblin healer Kelrim, who is silently following the two of them as they are heading in our direction. I'm just saying that if you had told me this from the beginning, we wouldn't have wasted so much time with my aura training. Darren tells Araka in a loud voice. I did tell you, you moron, Araka says. I've been telling you constantly since day one that what you need to do was to untangle the flow of your aura with your mind. How is this such a difficult concept for you to grasp? It's because your words sound like gibberish, Darren says. How was I supposed to know that what you really wanted me to do was to imagine myself untying them like actual knots? I thought that I had to change the direction of each flow individually. You just don't know how to explain things clearly. Oh yeah, Araka says, then how come the goblin understood, smartass? I only had to tell him once and he got it right away. What's your excuse for that? I don't know, maybe you just understand each other better because you're both monsters, Darren says. I'm an elf, you miserable cretin, Araka says. I already told you this once. Should I take it that you are making progress with finding the cure for the people in the quarantine zone, Iluna says, with Darren and Araka reaches. Yes, Araka says, but only because the goblin managed to explain to Darren what I wanted from him in simple enough terms that even someone like him could understand. And now he pretty much figured out the cause of the disease, so all he needs to do is get the right tools for the job. Easier said than done, Darren says. The tools of themselves likely won't be a problem to obtain, but from what Kilram told me, the shops around here are running quite low on medicinal herbs. There aren't many towns willing to do trading with a rogue city like this, and the medicinal herbs that I'm looking for apparently don't typically grow in the area surrounding Olander. We're going to need to try out a lot of shops until we find the ointment that I need, which is going to be a little difficult, given that we're wanted criminals in the city. And if what I heard about the lockdown is true, I have to wonder if the shop owners are even allowed to sell their merchandise anymore. Maybe you could ask Rose for help with the medicinal herbs, Kate says. With a little luck, she might know of some gourmet substitutes that are more commonly found in herbal shops, so that you won't need to visit so many different vendors. That's not a bad idea, Darren says. I'll make sure to have a discussion with her about this later. If you're going to shop for medicinal herbs, then I'll join you too, Kelvin the Goblin says. I visit these shops often to get my own supplies, so I have a good idea of where it would be more likely to find what we need. Are you sure? Darren says. From what I understand, the sickness progress much slower for goblins, so you could still wait a week or two for the citywide lockdown to be over until you go shopping for the herbs. There's no need to put your life in danger even more by going out there right now. But what about all the people who would die in this meantime if you don't manage to get the herbs in time by yourself? Kilram says. I can't allow any more innocent lives to be lost for no reason. As long as I'm still drawing breath, I will do anything in my power to help. If that is what you want, I won't try to stop you, Darren says. But when we are going outside, make sure to stand behind me at all times. You never know who might try to ambush us. I'll be careful, Kelram says. Thank you for your concern. For what it's worth, I will also try to make the best use of my healing abilities if we get attacked. I think we should start heading for our rooms in the sleeping quarters, I say. I don't really like talking out here in the open. Hardrick said that he was coming towards us from that direction, so we should normally run into him on our way there. Alright, Darren says. I'll see you again tomorrow, Kilram. Goodbye, Kilram says. The rest of us go into the tunnel. Petal, Luna, Flower says. Would you mind if I went to sleep for another hour or two? I'm still feeling a little tired. It's not a problem, Luna says. Okay, Flower says, wake me up if anything else happens. You think she's still being affected by what we saw below the tower? Layla writes to me. What am I going to tell the kid though? What is the the child is gonna hate Barry if we tell the truth, and I'm one of those people that would like to tell the truth most of the time anyway. Until it directly affects us, then that's another story. Pick me up if something else happens. Do you think she's still affected by what we saw below the tower? Layla writes to me. Well, that image is a little hard to get out of one's head, I say to her in a low voice so that Darren doesn't hear us. But still, maybe she was just tired. Luna did wake her up in the middle of her sleep, so I guess she could simply... Oh, hey, look, there's Hardrick. So I heard you guys went on an adventure without telling me, Hardrick says with a loud voice with his usual grin as he's getting closer to us. Trying to keep all the fun for yourself, eh? Fun isn't exactly how to describe it, but we'll tell you more when we get to our room, I tell him. There's too much commotion here with all the refugees going up and down these corridors. Well, I just went to our room earlier and it was as quiet as ever, Hardrick says. But I suppose that's to be expected since they made sure to give us the most isolated room in the whole sleeping quarters. I don't think they really want us mingling with the locals. I think so too, Darren says, but it serves our interest just fine, so we can't complain. Do we make a right here or... Yeah, we take the right corridor on the first corridor on the right, then we keep going for a while. Take the third corridor on the left. Right, Darren says. Lead the way then. Just as we are about to enter the next corridor, we see Albert the assassin, who is currently busy guiding a group of refugees to their room. Our eyes meet for a fraction of a second, but then Albert quickly looks away from me, pretending that he never saw me. Fall out to him, wish him a good evening, don't say anything, mock him for having been reduced to escort duty. Nah, don't say anything to him. Even though Albert doesn't want to acknowledge my presence, I decide to ignore him as well. I let him simply pass us by as the group continues to follow Hardrick into the tunnel on the right. When we finally reach our room, we tell Hardrick and Darren to sit down because there's a lot to talk about. I also called Rose on her transceiver so that she can hear what happened at the same time as the others. Once we are done giving them all of the details about what was happening beneath the Ceridium Tower, we can clearly see that each of them has taken the news in a different way. Darren has a determined but menacing look in his eyes. Hardrick is completely engaged, absolutely enraged. Rose is completely silent and Araka couldn't be more unfazed. These bastards, Hardrick shouts. Do they have no honor whatsoever? Where is this tower that they're holding the prisoner? I'll go there myself and destroy that energy draining machine with my bare hands if I have to. We can destroy the machine, Melinda says. It needs to be deactivated from the control room. Have you not been paying attention? Then I'll beat up everyone in that tower until they tell me where the control room is, Hardrick says. Someone has to know where it is. You're not going to beat up everyone, you buffoon, Araka says. You'll be lucky if you'll even get to land one punch before being sent right back to your own continent by the tournament spell that is protecting the locals. Hardrick says. Then I'll just dodge their attacks and punch through all the walls in the tower until I find where I need to go. We have to do something. Why isn't anyone else as angry as I am? I don't get it. Are you asking me this? Or Araka says. Calm down, Hardrick says. Darren says. Believe me, I'm just as upset about this as you are, but we can deal with this on our own. Even if we were trying to somehow free the people from below that one tower, there are still 3 other towers in the city. I'm willing to bet the same type of stuff is happening over there too. If we just keep going from tower to tower attacking everyone, eventually we're going to find ourselves fighting the whole army of Olander. We can't fight an entire kingdom by ourselves. The leadership of the city needs to change if we really want to free these people, and for this we need allies. What did you guys think about the Overseer? Do you reckon he's going to be of any help to us? I'm not sure what to say here, I answer Darren. He seemed grateful that we killed Billy Bob for him, but he seemed willing to return the favor. I don't know what exactly his plans are, but I don't think we can really leave our guards down around him. Who cares about the Overseer, Hardrick says. He's just a machine. The rebels are the ones that matter. Do we know if we can trust them, if we can talk to them to assemble a rescue team or something? The rebels won't attack any of the towers, Kate says, not with their king of the underground in charge. They already made it clear that they wouldn't be willing to expend resources on rescue missions, even if it did turn out to be innocent people were being held in the towers. The only thing we can hope to achieve by allying ourselves with them is to get help in killing the king from the surface. Nothing else. Here's an idea, Araka says. How about you stop looking for help from all of these losers and actually start searching for ways to deal with your problems by yourself? Do you think these idiot rebels are going to be there to hold your hands while you're fighting the god of time? Do you think you'll they'll be there to fight by your side when that copy version of me from 5000 years ago is going to put her hand through your mouths and rip out your skeletons. When are you low lives finally going to understand that this isn't a game, and that you're going to need to take your training seriously if you want to have the slightest chance of achieving your unrealistic goals?